Hello everyone, welcome to the third video on cursive lowercase letters. Today we'll finish the remaining of the short letters and variations, R, S, X, and Z. As you will see in a moment, some of the letters are actually taller than the X height. I don't know why, but somebody made the rules a long time ago. To get started, first you need to find the X height, and the first stroke starts on the baseline and moves all the way up to slightly cross the X height. The second stroke starts with a small twist and moves to the baseline and turns into an exit stroke. The downstroke should be sitting firmly on the main slant, while the two upstrokes should be approximately parallel. If you've seen my earlier video, you should have guessed that the only downstroke is the heavy stroke, while the upstrokes are light pressured. This is a common pattern in all cursive letters. One common mistake is to have very large twist on the top. This can cause your letter to look disproportionate, especially when you are writing at small scale. Another mistake is to turn the twist into a straight line, which causes the letter to look stiff and boring. Instead, try to keep the twist small and elastic. Another detail you should pay attention to is that the downstroke should not be so curvy such that it's no longer sitting on the main slant. This is a very subtle point and you should be especially careful. Always remember to check that the downstroke is neither too curvy nor too stiff, and that its center of mass is sitting firmly on the main slant. The lowercase r has an ending form, which can be used when the letter is at the end of a word or sentence. By the way, the ending forms are optional. You can always use the regular form if you prefer so, but the ending form does add some variety and character to your penmanship. Here you can see how the regular form and the ending form compares to each other. The lowercase s is very similar. The first stroke goes slightly above the X height, and the second stroke is a spline that ends on the baseline and turns into the exit stroke. The width of lowercase s is approximately equal to that of lowercase r. The center of mass of the spline should be on the main slant, while the entry and the exit stroke should be approximately parallel. Since the spline is the only downstroke, you should apply heavier pressure to the spline. And because the entry and exit stroke are going up, you should apply lighter pressure to the entry and the exit stroke. One common mistake is to leave an open loop at the top, and its ugliness is just self-evident. Another thing to avoid is to make the spline too curvy, which can cause the letter to look too fat and lose its balance. In contrast, you don't want the spline to be too straight, which can result in a very stiff appearance. Unless you have a very strong reason to like it, you should avoid such style. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. After you have made enough mistakes, you would be able to find the right balance. The lowercase x is a special case because its two strokes are totally separated. And the second stroke is often completed only after you have written down the entire word. The most important thing to remember is that the second stroke is not on the main slant. It is the first downstroke that aligns with the main slant. That being said, both downstrokes require heavy pressure, just like every other downstroke in the alphabet. One critical mistake is to align the second stroke with the main slant, which can stretch the letter horizontally. Always remember that it is the first downstroke that aligns with the main slant. Another thing to avoid is to make the two turning points unequal. which can break the nice symmetry of the letter. Also, you should avoid making the turning points too sharp. Even though it is very tempting to do so, it is more suited for italic style and should be avoided in cursive. Another mistake is to break the letter into two half ovals. This actually looks very nice, and it is how I learned to write in elementary school. You may use it at your discretion, just be aware that it is not cursive. When writing cursive, pay attention that I'm only completing the second stroke after I finish the entire word. This is a simplified version of lowercase z. The downstroke is actually not on the main slant, but if you connect the two leftmost points and the two rightmost points, the two lines should be parallel to the main slant. You might be wondering why this letter is breaking so many rules, and that's because this is not the cursive Z. The correct cursive Z has a descender, which I will explain in a later video. Even so, I found that the simplified Z to be very quick and handy when it's positioned at the beginning of a word, while if I replace it with a full-fledged descender Z, it looks too much of an overkill. Thank you very much for watching till the end. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumb up and subscribe for more tutorials. By the way, before you start practicing, make sure you do at least 3 to 5 minutes of muscular movement exercise, which you can find in my playlist here. On next Friday, we'll start examining more complex letters with stems and more interesting variations.